Let's talk U18 playoffs right now. This is something that's really exciting for this company with our first year being partners with the U18 League. Islanders, Max, Weeks, Subs. Max having to go to Cape Breton twice, just recently eliminating the Rush, now having to go all the way back to Port Hood. Shout out to Brendan. Going to be a lot of fun watching that series. Same with that. It's great that there's like 2 city teams and then 2 away teams.
Yeah, definitely.
It's nice.
It's
Go a
good for the
little
league.
back and forth. And didn't you say the Max are at home first?
Yeah, they would be as the higher
So
seed.
then the Subs or the Steel Subaru are going to be in Pictou.
Yep.
What are you looking forward to about the Steel Subaru versus Weeks series?
I think the first thing I'll say is that it's the top 4 teams left.
Okay.
So 1 versus 4, 2 versus 3. I mean, when you start the year and the standings finish, you know that the top 4 teams are usually the ones that move on. There's obviously upsets and stuff that happen in playoff hockey, but I think it's the 4 teams that should be left, in my opinion. I think the Max series won't be as easy as their last one. No offense to the Rush. They just were outmatched. Cape Breton West right now, I watched all their games in the playoffs. They're a hungry group, but the Weeks and Subs, I think it'll be a tight series. I think the Weeks are going to come out of this. I just think they're primed for a playoff run. I just think they have all the pieces in place, but that's playoff hockey, man. You just don't know what's going to happen. That's a beautiful part. If it was a 1-game elimination, you could pretty much, wipe it. But in a 5-game series, you don't know what's going to happen. And the Subs are coming off a pretty emotional series with the Valley. There was some bad blood. There was some altercations. There were some suspensions. And but that's going to the top 4 teams, man. This is going to be U18 must-watch hockey. Like it really is.
It's good for the 2 city teams like that are away on the opposite weekends. Like you're saying, the Max are home this weekend, and then next weekend Steel Subaru's home.
Yep.
So that should be good for the fan base. Hopefully get some crowds in there. So there's 2 different city teams playing on back-to-back weekends. So that'll be fun. Islanders, Max, what do you think about that series, Jeff?
Like he said, I think the Islanders, they're kind of like a gritty team. The Max, they're the pretty team. They've won all their games. They won Ice Jam this year for the first time in a while.
Yep.
They're stacked. They got Benigno back from the queue. Everything looks set for the Max, to go on a deep run. But the Islanders, like I said, they have that grit. They play out now McGuinness Arena. I guess they'll play their second and third, or their third and fourth game there.
Yep.
Best of 5, correct?
So it's like if the Islanders can split at home at the Max home,
Yeah.
then they get 2 home games in the old Al McGuinness with Brendan. Shout out Brendan. You said, and I don't know. I think both these series has potential to probably go. What is it? Best 3 out of 5, 4 or 5 games. I don't know. I don't think there's gonna be a sweep personally.
No.
It's exciting.
I'll say this too on the Max and stuff because we kind of touched on teams that we didn't cover.
Yeah,
but,
exactly. I do all the Subs games.
and I
What are
do
you thinking about
I
this?
do the Cole Harbor, yeah. One thing I will say is that Cape Breton West has, man, and this goes back to when you and I played. That's a tough place to play, man. Port Hood, that small town feel. It's the only show in town, and their fans are just as much into it as the players are. Now, I will say there's like a home ice advantage on that side of things. Now, the Forum, I'm not saying the Cape Breton West game doesn't suit the Forum. I'm just saying the Forum's a bigger ice pad. It's more flash and dash. The Max are more built for speed and skill. I'm not saying they don't have grit. They do have grit. They play hard, but the big wide open ice definitely benefits the Max in my opinion. But when you get into that small, quaint, almost like smaller feel arena in Cape Breton West, it's a different ball game, and especially with the energy in that building. So I think if the Cape Breton can take 1 game at the Forum, they'll be in good shape. But I just ultimately think, like you said, man, the Max are just primed. Like they've played in a bunch of big games this year. They went to that Circle K tournament where it's like, Alberta, Ontario, and that's usually where we go and get stomped from Nova Scotia. They held their own. They're just primed to go. Like the guys on their team have winning experience. They have Q experience where, Cape Breton West, they have belief, and sometimes belief and grit and a little bit of skill is a tough thing to match. But I definitely think that the home ice thing is going to be a factor in that series.
Yeah, it was just interesting. Like the Subs, like Valley series, Valley was probably feeling pretty good getting the 1-1 against the Subs coming out of it, right? And it kind of fell apart at the seams for them. But that was like a huge storyline in the first round. There it was like the Subs dummied them 8-1 in the first game, and then Valley, it was like tied. Like the Subs even came back in that game to tie it. And then Valley scored like right away, like 30 seconds later to retake the lead. So I think it'll just, if you're going to keep an eye on anything this weekend, It's can the Islanders squeak out a win at the Forum? Because the Max, like, have they lost at the Forum this year?
I don't
They have
even
like
know.
4 losses. One of them was in
Sydney.
The other 3 I can't pinpoint.
I
But
think the one was actually against the Islanders, the first game of the year.
Very first one at the Civic.
At the Civic, yeah.
okay,
Yeah.
so
Right.
technically not.
And
then
think about this: the Civic, smaller rink, right? Like I'm just saying, I watch Cape Breton. I watch the 2 streams because I love listening to Brendan, but I'm also just intrigued by the U18 playoffs. Like we got a lot on the not on the line, but we're invested, and the way they play is just like it's nonstop. Like you know how like some teams have their top dogs, their top scoring line, and they're like not as physical as the other lines. Cape Breton West, their top line, like that Campbell Barrett guy, he took a few penalties in the game, but like. Dude, this guy was all over the net. He's running people over. He's blocking shots. He's getting frustrated. He's playing with emotion, Like, that's just one example. Like, that series, I only saw the clinching game live. And just, like, they're just a playoff style team, man. Like, I truly believe that in that dressing room, they're like, let's just get in the playoffs and anything can happen from here.
last year, I think they were up 2 on the Subs, weren't they, in the second round? And then they ended up getting reverse swept by them to go for the Subs to go to the finals. So... I know there's a couple key pieces that aren't there this year, but I'm sure that sour taste is still in their mouth. Like
4 really good coaches left too, I will say. McLennan with the Weeks, very analytical, very X's and O's, got his team humming. Obviously the Subs coaching staff, the
Marty
Max,
King.
obviously, and like Ian Haverstock. And Cape Breton West are one of my old nemesis, Mike McDonald. He's a very gritty style player with some secret skill, and like you just know that the guys in these rooms believe in their top dogs, their coaching staffs. You can see it like in every single game, whatever they throw at them, they go out and do it. It's not like there's no feuds or anything in there. They're like, okay, this is what we're doing. This has worked. Let's go with this. And I'll say the goalies left in this playoffs right now, like the tandems. First of all, the Max goalie set a new league record for goals against average. It was under 2 goals a game. You're going to win pretty well every game. If you can score 3 goals in a game, which the Max can no problem, you're going to win. Bell and Poirier and Cape Breton. They got Stewart and Benocio.
Yeah, they
and
came off.
Dartmouth.
They had a decent first round. Like I think that was kind of a question mark for some people, but they came together. Benocio shot out in the first game.
Yep.
Stewart got the win, and then they closed it out there. So
And then the goalies for the Weeks, Serrando and Thorne.
yeah,
Like
Sorrento, a Bedford kid too, playing out in Weeks all year, having a good year. So he's probably got a bit of a chip on the shoulder.
The last thing I'll say on the U18 series is Fenwick McLean. We talk about him all the time. He had a slow start to the season. People are going, oh, maybe he's not going to be as effective. But listen, when the coins are down or the chips are down, this guy's been showing up, man. And he's I'm not going to say put the team on his back because they've had a good team effort, but now that the games matter and the stock is even higher, this guy is just performing, man. It's almost like he just waits for the big games. Like we saw it last year. He took provincials by storm. I know he was a man among boys for that stuff. But just now, like I think he's leading the playoffs in scoring as we speak. He's got 10 points, I think, in 3 or 4 games. Like, and it's not so much the points overall. You know how it goes, right? It's the timing. Like sometimes a huge save isn't the nicest save. It's a timing thing. And he just seems to step up when the games get big. And if he can continue to do that, man, that's a good guy to follow.
His first game of the playoffs was like that 8-1 game. He like totally took over, man. Like he was the guy. He was going in. Everything was going in. And they did a lot of line shuffling that series. But one thing you can guarantee is Fenn will be out there. And then I think he scored the game winner against Valley on Saturday night, too.
Yeah, it turned out to be, yeah.
I remember early in the year when I went to go do a video with Steel Subaru, I went to a practice and Fenn was there and he was kind of by the bench right next to Marty, the head coach. And he was just chatting Marty's ear off about like a game, the night before, and I was like, man, you could just tell this guy wants to get better because he was just talking about a situation that happened the night before. He's like, do you think I should have been here? You think I should have been here? Or should I have been here? Do you think I should have shot? You should have passed. And you could tell Marty was just like, dude, stop asking questions. Just like, but you could tell Fenwick just wants to know everything. He was so intrigued by the game before and how we should have been better. So you could tell, I'll never forget that. It might be like the 3rd, 4th game of the year. Like it was early. And I just remember seeing if he can keep this curiosity up about his own game, he'll be just fine. And from what you guys are telling me right now, if he's the leading scorer in the playoffs, then it seems like that curiosity is paying off, and the things that Marty's teaching him is paying off too. So we'll see.
For sure. He's definitely he strikes me as the type of guy that would watch like a full game. Like not just watch the clips on YouTube.
His dad played in the NHL, so he's got all that experience, like
True.
being like put into his brain of what to do and like, you know, what's the proper thing to do to play like your best hockey game. And he's also like kind of quiet, but he's not totally quiet. Like you said, he was asking Marty a lot of questions. We see him at the High Performance in the summer. Like I'll talk to him and he usually can hold a conversation pretty good and stuff, which may seem minor, but I don't know. He's had a good year here for his first year. So
yeah, and that was kind of the thing too. Everyone was like, "Oh, how's this going to translate?" You know, he scores 700 goals in
52.
Bantam, right? So
Yeah.
it's like, but yeah, so his point record actually might get broken by Cooper Strong this year. So I think he needs two more points
in one game.
Yeah,
That's such a sick name.
Cooper Strong.
especially when you're having a good season. Like it just lines up. Actually, he already passed it, boys. So as we do this, he's got 83 points now, 26 and 57. So shout out to him. We can't let that slip through. And also, the Bandits.
Yeah, I
set a new
saw
league
that.
record.
Ben put a sick thing out on
Oh, did he?
Instagram this morning.
So
Nice.
Luke actually in our
200
little
points or
200 goals, and
goals?
I think the last one was like 185 was the last league record. Like Luke ended up telling us in like right as it happened, because we have a little chat group with all like the guys. You're not in it.
Why am I not in it?
Because you're the boss.
You guys saying anything about me?
Oh
in
yeah,
there?
that's all it is. It's all just
Yeah,
Belage
Easton
chirps.
chirps you.
No, he's not. Easton, better relax, buddy.
So then Luke goes, "Your Bedford Bandits are the whatever." He told us the league record. So I ended up messaging Ben this morning or last night, and then he got that out this morning. That's how quick he was with that. But 200 goals in a season is nothing to just like let go by. Like
33
that's a lot.
games.
That's a lot. That's 6 goals a game they're averaging, right? That's
The
gonna
Bandits.
That's gonna win you some hockey games.